From disallowed goals to getting struck by lightning, here are the most outrageous 0% luck football moments. Now, those who watched football in the 90s will be familiar with the name Roberto Baggio. He was one of the best players of his era, thanks to his skill, finesse, and intelligence. But even with all his assets, there was nothing he could do when bad luck came calling. It was the USA '94 World Cup, and Italy had made it to the final to play against the almighty Brazil. This was certainly a dream match involving two heavyweight footballing nations, and players from both teams had to be at their absolute best if they were going to take home the grand prize. As you would expect, the game went down to the wire, and whether the players liked it or not, it had to be decided by the dreaded penalty shootout. It was time for the decisive kick, and who else but Baggio was brave enough to take it? After all, he was one of the best penalty takers in the world, so putting the ball in the back of the net was nothing new to him. But it seemed the tension had gotten to him, because upon taking his kick, he could only watch helplessly as the ball flew wide above the bar. And just like that, Brazil won the shootout 3-2, which meant they were champions of the world once again. The Italian fans couldn't believe it, and neither could Baggio, who stood on the penalty spot for a long time, wondering what had just gone wrong. Now, most players would recover from a penalty miss and move on with their careers, but Baggio's case was different. His miss haunted him long after, and his career took a huge nosedive henceforth. Before the World Cup, Roberto Baggio used to score an average of 14 goals per season, which was a good tally for a midfielder. But after his nightmarish miss, Baggio lost his goal-scoring ability and only managed a total of 20 goals in the next 3 seasons combined. That's about 7 goals per season, which was half of his normal tally of 14. Baggio himself has admitted that he never got over the miss, as he had this to say in his autobiography: "It was the toughest moment of my career. Before I left for the finals, my Buddhist spiritual master told me that to like and subscribe. Just kidding. But he told me I would be confronted with a lot of problems and that everything would be decided at the very last minute. At the time, I didn't realize his prediction would be so accurate. It was the worst moment of my career. I still dream about it. If I could erase a moment from my career, it would be that one." Speaking of penalty misses and heartbreaks, one man who has certainly had his fair share is former Chelsea captain John Terry. Ever since Chelsea had been taken over by Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich, all they wanted was trophies, trophies, and more trophies. By 2008, they'd already won 2 Premier League titles, so they were satisfied on the local front. However, they were still yet to get their hands on the biggest prize of them all, the UEFA Champions League. They eventually got to the final in 2008, and all they had to do was beat Manchester United to seal the deal. Easier said than done, though, as the Blues had to come from a goal down to force the match into penalties. Luckily for Chelsea, Cristiano Ronaldo missed his kick, and all Terry had to do was score the winning kick for his team. Now, Terry is one of the highest scoring defenders in the world. He's also very sure-footed, so how unlucky did he have to be to slip at the last moment and miss his kick? Manchester United ended up winning the shootout, and Terry had to go home soaked in tears. But that wasn't going to be the end of Chelsea's bad luck in the Champions League, because just a year later, the boys from London found themselves in the semi-final and were hungrier for the trophy more than ever. But before they could reach the final, they had to scale through a Barcelona squad that boasted of Xavi, Iniesta, Puyol, and of course, Lionel Messi. Chelsea were the clear underdogs, but they didn't play like one, as Michael Essien's stunning goal began to look like the winner as the clock struck 90. Unluckily for Chelsea, Andreas Iniesta smashed in a long-range strike with less than 2 minutes to go to end Chelsea's dream of a back-to-back final. For Chelsea, what made this moment so unlucky is that Iniesta isn't even a long-range shooter, so what the heck were his chances of scoring from distance? To further rub salt into injury, replays show that Chelsea had a series of legitimate penalty shouts, but the referee blatantly ignored all of them. Bad luck plus a rigged referee. While you ponder upon the matter, let's take a look at the next unlucky football moment in this video. And that's Frank Lampard's disallowed goal against Germany at the FIFA World Cup. Now, as far as football and World War II is concerned, Germany and England are bitter rivals, and nothing would make the Three Lions happier than getting one over their German counterparts. They could have had a fighting chance if goal line technology was in existence at the time. Because while Frank Lampard got everything right with his beautiful long-range chip, he was so unlucky that the referee didn't see the ball cross the line after it came off from under the bar. Lampard and his teammates argued their case with the referee, but nothing in the world was going to make him reverse his decision. If his goal was given, then England, who were trailing 1-2 with only 37 minutes left to play, would have tied the score at 2-2. Unfortunately, Lampard and his boys continued sulking over the disallowed goal, and Germany, who couldn't care less, scored 2 more goals to put the game away. After watching the replays, Sepp Blatter, who was FIFA president at the time, apologized to the England team for the referee's wrong and costly call. Now, I'm sure everyone would agree that this was the moment that inspired the goal line technology being used in football today. So while Lampard would have felt hard done, he can take solace in the fact that he inspired the tech that has literally made every legitimate goal count. Moving on, 2 players whose bad luck moments are bound for eternity are Laurent Koscielny and Wojciech Szczesny. It was the 2011 Carling Cup final, and Arsenal were up against Birmingham City. Sure, the Gunners were the favorites to win, and they did all they could to break down the Birmingham defense. But after having more than 80% of the possession, more shots at goal, more shots on target, more corner kicks, and even more free kicks, the score was still tied at 1-1. How unlucky were Arsenal not to be at least 4 goals up with all the advantageous statistics they were enjoying? Birmingham were literally not doing anything special defensively, but Arsenal's shots weren't just going in. Now, if Arsenal thought their inability to score was nothing short of bad luck, then they didn't have an idea what Laurent Koscielny and Wojciech Szczesny had in store for them. Arsenal's top defender and keeper got into a laughable mix-up, and the ball fell kindly for the opposition striker, who scored the easiest of goals to give Birmingham a totally undeserved 2-1 lead and the Carling Cup trophy. Nobody saw that coming, just like the referee didn't see Diego Maradona's infamous Hand of God, which knocked England out of the 1986 FIFA World Cup. Now, Maradona has scored some of the best goals in the sport. However, flying high into the air and guiding the ball into the back of the net with a hand isn't the most honorable Maradona goal you will ever see. Letting the goal stand was such a huge injustice to the England team, who had played so well all through the match and had given Argentina a good run for their money. Quite frankly, England didn't deserve to go out like that, just like Alan Brown didn't deserve to miss out on 2 FA Cup finals after helping Blackpool get there. But wait, who the heck is Alan Brown? Well, for those who weren't born in the black and white TV era, Alan Brown was a player who won the English FA Cup twice with Blackpool. The only problem was that after all his hard work, he didn't even play in any of the finals. He missed the 1951 final, thanks to a knee injury he sustained just days before the big game at Wembley. Then 3 years later in 1954, he missed the second final, thanks to a broken leg. Unluckily, Brown broke his leg as he scored the winning goal in the quarter-final. Yeah, having a broken bone sucks, but it's far better than being gunned down in the street by a bunch of goons, which was the case of Colombian footballer Andres Escobar. It all began in Colombia's group stage game against the USA in the 1994 World Cup, where Escobar tried to stop a dangerous cross in front of the 6-yard box. Unfortunately for Escobar, his tackle wasn't spot on, and he ended up turning the ball into his own net. This blunder helped the USA to a 2-1 victory, which ensured Colombia were booted out of the World Cup in the early stages. We know that some soccer fans are passionate, but what happened to Escobar afterwards was downright sinister. He was gunned down while seated in his car, allegedly by members of the Cali drug cartel, who shouted as they fired multiple shots into his body. Now, André Escobar's own goal wasn't the only thing that made this moment unlucky, because his surname didn't do him any favors either. In case you didn't know, Andres shares the same surname with Pablo Escobar, who headed the Medellin drug cartel at the time. You guessed it right, the Medellin cartel were bitter rivals of the Cali cartel, who didn't mind killing anyone with Escobar's surname, especially one whose own goal helped knock their country out of the World Cup. Moving on to the last unlucky football moment in the video, and this one is quite unbelievable. It involves Danish player Jonathan Richter, who got struck by lightning during a live match. This sheer moment of bad luck happened on the 20th of July 2009 during Nordsjælland's match against Vidovre, and no one saw this coming. The lightning strike instantly put Richter in a coma, and he had to be rushed to the hospital, where the doctors decided that his left leg had to be amputated to increase his chances of survival. Sadly, this meant that Richter had to retire from football at the young age of 24. So guys, do you know any more bad luck moments in football? Tell us about them in the comments below, and be sure to check out the next video.